and welcome. You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez, coming to you from Washington, D.C. It's Wednesday evening here, June 9th, 2021. Tonight we have updates from our correspondents across North and Central America. For tonight's live reports, Thomas Likeness in Edmonton, Alberta.
Despite falling COVID numbers in both countries, there's still no answer as to when the Canada-U.S. border will reopen to non-essential travel.
Myla Simbulan in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania.
Hands-on agriculture experiences over the summer for Pennsylvania kids.
May Ann Manzano Gorzon in Sicklerville, New Jersey.
New Jersey reports municipalities where less than half of the population is vaccinated.
Randy Bayuga in Parisburg, Ohio.
Ohio announces Vax-A-Million winners, and Ohio sues Google, wants tech company declared as a public utility.
In Ciudad de Panama, May Davila tells us about an ongoing investigation about an underground COVID vaccination operation in Coco Del Mar. For food, Elmarie Gonzalez in South Haven, Mississippi, shares with us her version of Lumpiang Shanghai. For tonight's roundtable, today is National Lumpiang Shanghai Day, or Egg Roll Day. Join the team as we talk about what we love in our favorite egg roll. Our coverage begins now. President Joe Biden leaves on the first foreign trip of his presidency, touting the strong transatlantic alliance ahead of summits with G7, European and NATO partners before a face-to-face with Russia's Vladimir Putin. Boarding Air Force One outside Washington, the president says his trip would make clear to Putin and China that Europe and the United States are tight.
Strengthening the alliance, make it clear to Putin and to China that Europe and the United States are tight, and the G7 is going to move.
President Biden heads first to Britain for a G7 summit in a Corniche seaside resort from Friday to Sunday. From there, in rapid succession, he will visit Queen Elizabeth II at Windsor Castle, fly to Brussels for summits with the NATO military alliance and the European Union, then finish up in Geneva, where he meets President Putin next Wednesday. As the president departs Washington, the European Union Trade Commissioner Valdis Dombrovskis calls on the U.S. to walk the talk when it comes to resolving lingering Trump-era trade disputes. For now, President Biden is accentuating the feel-good factor, repeating the mantra, America is back. That's the message that the trip's choreography with President Biden meeting a who's who of U.S. allies before sitting down with Putin reinforces. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says he will go into this meeting with the wind at his back. Meanwhile, Beijing accuses Washington of, I quote, paranoid delusion after the U.S. Senate passes a sweeping industrial policy bill aimed at countering the surging economic threat from China. America's political parties overcome partisan divisions to support pumping more than $170 billion into research and development, one of the most significant achievements in Congress since President Joe Biden's administration began in January. According to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, the United States Innovation and Competition Act represents the largest investment in scientific research and technological innovation in generations. President Biden says the country is in a competition to win the 21st century, and the starting gun has gone off. As other countries continue to invest in their own research and development, the U.S. cannot risk falling behind. The bill is seen as crucial for U.S. efforts to avoid being outmaneuvered by Beijing as the adversaries compete in the race for technological innovation. According to state media, the Foreign Affairs Committee of China's top legislature called the bill an attempt to interfere in the country's internal affairs and deprive it of its legitimate right to development through technology and economic decoupling. According to a report by the official Xinhua news agency, the National People's Congress Foreign Affairs Committee says The bill shows that the paranoid delusion of egoism has distorted the original intention of innovation and competition. It says the bill was full of Cold War mentality and ideological prejudice. In other news, Guatemalan President Alejandro Giammattei says he is asking the U.S. for Guatemalan migrants to be granted temporary protected status, or TPS, to take pressure off the economy, and because migration reform would take time. The comments come a day after Giammattei welcomed U.S. President Kamala Harris to Guatemala City for talks on the causes of migration from Central America to the United States. During the said visit, Vice President Harris says the United States hopes to work with Guatemala to address the root causes of illegal migration by creating a sense of hope in the poverty and violence-plagued country. It is her first trip abroad since taking office. Meeting President Giammattei in Guatemala City, Harris says reducing undocumented migration from Central to North America was a priority for President Joe Biden's administration. The Vice President says most people do not want to leave the place where they grew up, loved ones, and people with whom they share a language and culture. But she adds they often do so either because they are fleeing some harm or because they simply cannot satisfy their basic needs by staying at home. Regardless of their reasons for leaving, Vice President Harris urges would-be migrants not to make the journey. She tells them, do not come to the United States. She warns, and I quote, "The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our borders. If you come to our border, you will be turned back." Instead, she proposes that the United States and Guatemala work together to find solutions to long-standing problems. In a report published Wednesday, British charity Save the Children says jihadists plaguing parts of northern Mozambique for the past 3.5 years abducted dozens of children during raids in 2020. The charity says the abduction of children has become a new and alarmingly irregular tactic by armed groups involved in the conflict, and that the numbers involved were likely higher than its estimates, based on data collected by the U.S. conflict tracker ACLED.
Right now, the reported cases of violations of children's rights are increasing a lot. Now we have seen cases of sexual abuse.
It says at least 51 children, most of them girls, have been captured in Cabo Delgado province, where Islamist attacks have displaced some 700,000 people since the violence started in 2017. In March, this Islamic State-linked militants launched a coordinated assault on Palma town, killing dozens and forcing more than 67,000 to abandon their homes. Nearly half of those displaced are children, and the true number of child abductions could be far higher than the reported cases. Militants locally known as Al-Shabaab terrorized northern Mozambique, burning houses, beheading people, and forcing some into their ranks of holding them as sex slaves. According to the US-based site Intelligence Group, a jihadist video distributed in August last year, filmed in either Mozambique or the Democratic Republic of Congo, shows 3 gun-toting children flanked by adults in front of an IS banner. Save the Children says in one of the attacks in June last year, 10 girls were taken while fetching water from a well. For today's COVID-19 numbers, according to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday, June 9th, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now over 174,125,000. Top 3 on the list of countries with recorded cases: US, more than 33.3 million, India has more than 29 million, and Brazil has more than 17 million. This virus has now claimed more than 3,750,000 lives worldwide. Top 3 countries with the most number of COVID-19 related deaths are US, over 598,000. Brazil has over 476,000. India with over 355,000. Total vaccine doses administered worldwide are now at 2,205,310,000. For COVID news, elephants. Yes, elephants are tested for COVID at a southern Indian animal reserve, with the forest officials collecting nasal and anal samples from the animals. According to a forest ranger at the forest reserve, the tests were carried out on 28 Indian elephants at the Mudumalai Tiger Reserve as a precautionary measure after lions tested positive for coronavirus in a South Indian zoo. Up next, updates from Panama, Alberta, and Pennsylvania. Eagle News America will return in a moment. Stay with us.
Factual,
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
timely information, balanced, not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Aguila Pilipinas, a 1-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Aguila Provincia.
Sa mga taga-Iloilo at Antique, mapiyang
Tune into Mata ng Agila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Agila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science, and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to Exchange, our health outdoor
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News America. In Panama, an anonymous tip led to the investigation of an illegal COVID-19 vaccination operation happening in Coco Del Mar. In Ciudad de Panama, EBC's May Davila files this report.
After a formal complaint presented by Minister of Health Luis Francisco Sucre, the Ministerio Público will investigate complaints about an underground vaccination center in a building in Coco Del Mar. Doses of the vaccine against COVID-19 are reported to have been applied. Minister Sucre's accusation comes after the newspaper La Prensa reported about the incident. According to Flor Mizrachi of La Prensa, they received a tip that a private laboratory was selling and applying vaccines against COVID-19 to individuals. The journalist comes to the scene and disguises herself as one of those waiting to be vaccinated. They all wait inside their cars until the concierge of the building approaches. Only 2 people go up to the place each time. She witnesses 17 people under the age of 50 receiving the vaccine in the said place. Come her turn, she sees in the room Pfizer vaccines and vaccination cards identical to what Minsa gives out to people who receive the vaccine. She introduces herself as a journalist from La Prensa and asks if they have a permit and where they got the vaccines. The person there answers they have the permit from the Metropolitan Health Region, but immediately packs their things and leaves the building. To date, Panama is only in its second phase of vaccination. Only adults aged 60 and above, teachers, pregnant, and lactating women are scheduled to receive the vaccine at this time. According to Minister Sucre, if there are MINSA officials involved, they will be removed from office and will receive the penalty that they deserve after trial. He indicates that he could not identify any of the people who appear in the photos published by the newspaper La Prensa during the vaccination day. He clarifies that at this time, pharmaceutical companies are only selling to governments directly, and that until now, the MINSA, through the National Directorate of Pharmacy and Drugs, has not received documentation to approve permission for any private company to bring in vaccines. For a weather update, it is currently 26 degrees Celsius here in Panama. Desde Ciudad de Panama, Nida Abdullah, Eagle News. Vivimos en tiempos interesantes.
There's no definite date yet as to when the Canada-US border will reopen to non-essential travel, even if COVID cases on both sides are declining. In Alberta, Bureau Chief Thomas Likeness joins us this evening with the details. Thomas.
Thanks, Ace. Well, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is still remaining vague on when he considers it safe to allow recreational travelers from the U.S. to cross the land borders into Canada. Now, he's previously said that 75% of Canadians would have to first have a first dose of the vaccine and 20% be fully immunized. Well, now he's suggesting that fully vaccinated Canadians may actually get preferential treatment when it comes to border crossings and international travel rules.
I think we all understand that we want to get back to normal. We want to start traveling again. But it's very clear that even though one dose has allowed us to significantly protect Canadians, to remove many of the pressures from our public health systems, it is still an incomplete protection, and we need people to get the full 2 doses of their vaccines. And that's why easing of restrictions will be focused on Canadians who are fully vaccinated, both because that's what the science dictates, particularly when it comes to some of the new variants of concern, like the Delta variant. The difference between protection of 1 dose of vaccine versus 2 doses of vaccine is quite significant. That's why we continue to encourage people to get double vaccinated, to make sure we can end with this as quickly as possible and turn to helping people around the world also get protection from COVID-19.
But it still really doesn't answer the question as to when that border will reopen. Pressure's been building on both sides of the border to ease up on the rules. Now, the present restrictions are set to expire on June 21st, and there's every reason to believe that they will be extended for another month. Observers these days, they're putting their bets on a July reopening, but again, that's going to depend upon vaccination rates. The border has been closed since March 21st of last year. So I guess we're coming up on 16 months now. Meanwhile, fully vaccinated Canadians and permanent residents returning to Canada will no longer need to quarantine for 14 days. But Health Minister Patty Hadju says they will have to take a COVID test when they land and remain in isolation until that test comes back negative, but a far shorter time than the 14 days. It's expected that change will take place next month. For the time being, international travel by Canadians is being discouraged. In Edmonton, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Tom. How is the travel industry reacting to the news that fully vaccinated people may soon not have to quarantine when they return to Canada?
Well, it's a rare piece of good news for travel agents and certainly puts a smile on their faces. And I'll give you my personal reaction. There's a broadcast convention that my wife and I want to attend in Las Vegas this fall. By then, we'll be fully vaccinated. But one of the hesitations about attending it was that we would have to quarantine when we returned home. And for my wife, that would mean missing an additional 2 weeks of work. With that requirement gone, hey, we're looking forward to this now. And I'm sure that's the feeling of a lot of people. And as a result, travel agents say they expect an uptick in bookings. Airlines have also been calling for fewer restrictions for months now. The big thing everybody is waiting on now is what kind of documentation will be required to prove that you're fully vaccinated. So still a lot of questions to be answered on this issue, Ace.
How is Canada doing in its battle against a third wave?
Well, we've seen to beaten back the virus, at least for now. Dr. Teresa Tam, she's our country's chief public health officer. She says our 7-day average of new cases is back to the level it was at last fall. We're seeing about 1,800 new cases a day, and that's across the entire country. But the big concern is variants, especially the Delta variant. And Tam is warning people, if you've only received 1 dose of the vaccine, you have to be very cautious. You have to continue to follow the public health guidelines. And again, she's reminding us that protection of that 1 dose of the vaccine offers against Delta variant is significantly reduced. Basically, what she's bluntly telling us, 1 dose is not enough. Ace?
And how are people responding to the call to get immunized?
Well, the rush, at least in my province, the rush for first dose appointments has eased a bit. And that's concerning public health officials. We're coming up on about 70% of Albertans receiving 1 vaccine. But like I say, the bookings are falling off. Those that were adamant about getting vaccinated have pretty much done it already. So now what we have to do is entice the rest of the population into getting immunized. And there's 3 types of people out there. 2 of them, I think you can reach 2 groups of them. The third one, I think, is a write-off. But the first is the procrastinators. They just never getting around to booking even the first appointment, much less a second appointment. And this has been a bit of an issue, pushing people to book for their second shot. Now, the next group we have is the vaccine hesitant group. And these are pretty reachable. These people are not necessarily opposed to immunization. They just want to wait and see how other people have reacted to the vaccine. They want to make sure it's safe. Some of them say, well, I'm not opposed to the vaccine, but you know, it was developed pretty quickly. Things were just too rushed. I just don't feel safe. But again, they're pretty reachable. Then there's the anti-vaxxers, and nothing's going to convince them because, well, the latest thing I've heard is that if you get the vaccine, forks and other metal will stick to your forehead. It's up there on the internet somewhere. Governments across the country are talking about launching promotional campaigns so we can push the number of immunized people to a level where we can achieve that herd immunity. And realistically, that's got to be 75, 80%. But once that's done, hey, we can say goodbye, good riddance to the restrictions. Ace?
Thank you so much, Thomas Likeness, Edmonton, Alberta.
You take care, Ace, and we'll talk to you later at the roundtable.
In an effort to promote the agricultural industry and to even encourage kids to consider building a career around it, Pennsylvania offers hands-on summer programs. To tell us more, Bureau Chief Myla Simbulan is with us tonight. Myla.
That's right, Ace. Good morning to all our viewers here in the Americas, and good morning to the other side of the world. With Pennsylvania's agriculture industry providing $132.5 billion to Pennsylvania's economy and the industry leading the nation for production in many sectors, Agriculture Secretary Russell Redding and Acting Secretary of Education Noe Ortega today stressed the importance of cultivating the next generation of agriculturists by offering kids opportunities for hands-on agriculture experiences over the summer. Redding and Ortega were joined by members of the Pennsylvania FFA and Commission for Agriculture Education Excellence today at the Farm Park at Paulus Farm Market. The Farm Park is an ideal destination for raising agriculture-aware kids with opportunities to see and feed a diverse variety of farm animals and seasonal activities such as flower and pumpkin picking. Let's take a look.
agriculture offers diverse careers and career paths for students, families in Pennsylvania, right? Extraordinarily, $132+ billion in this industry right here in PA alone. So it carries a significant importance and something that we need to continue to elevate and invest in as a Commonwealth agency. Our children who are seeing this for the first time, exploring and learning about agriculture, are going to be the leaders of the future. They're going to make a difference and continue the work that folks like Amy and Jim have done, and their family has done as well, and continue it well into the future. So really grateful for the invitation to sort of be here today to share in this. We continue to elevate the importance of varied career pathways and making sure that young kids, particularly in the K-12 and early childhood space, are equipped with the knowledge, tools, resources, and skills. When I come here, I think about what application in that learning can look like for young folks. The opportunity to have hands-on experience doesn't always exist for everyone. And I think at schools, we really need to figure out how do we reach out to the industries happening, such as farms and people who are maintaining an agricultural culture, and integrate them into the learning and development that happens for young folks. And that's an extremely important thing that we need to continue to advocate for.
Pennsylvania has long faced a looming agricultural workforce shortage, at one point estimating a deficit of 75,000 workers as farmers retire and new technology-based positions become available. In recognition of this workforce needs, the Wolf administration created a 15-member Commission for Agriculture Excellence, co-chaired by Secretary Redding and Acting Secretary Ortega, and proceeded to invest heavily in the future of the industry through the Pennsylvania Farm Bill programs, such as the AG and Youth Grant Program, Farm to School Program, and Farm Vitality Grant Program. Pennsylvania's agriculture industry supports the state's economy to the tune of $132.5 billion and provides more than 593,000 jobs, which pay $33 billion in wages annually. The number of jobs in the industry has increased by 2.4% since 2018. To ensure the industry continues prosperously, that food remains available, accessible, and affordable, we need to grow a new generation of agriculturalists. Parents and caregivers of children are encouraged to seek out opportunities for hands-on agriculture experiences over the summer to foster an early appreciation of this life-sustaining industry. Careers in agriculture offer opportunities in science, technology, engineering, management, and traditional farming. It's meaningful work that both feeds the soul and provides for families. Right now, Ace in Swarthmore, it's 83 degrees Fahrenheit or 26 degrees Celsius with showers. In Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, Mila Simbul and Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Mila. Tell us, what are other ways for kids to explore the Pennsylvania agriculture?
So Pennsylvania has more than 100 county agriculture fairs. So that's one option. You can, let's say you go at the farm. There's a lot of farm here in Pennsylvania where there's ice cream creamery. So yeah, you can enjoy ice cream on the farm. And when you visit a garden or arboretum, there's a lot of arboretums as well here in Pennsylvania. You can also enroll your child in a Pennsylvania 4-H camp. You can visit Pennsylvania Farmers Market, many of which offer agritourism experiences. You can also go to those places where you pick your own berries, apples, or pumpkins. There's also one of those that I know my kids have been doing as well. You can experiment at home with do-it-your-own STEM activities. Ace?
All right, so there's a lot of ways. But okay, so as a parent, and I want to help address the need for, to promote agriculture or being in the agriculture, having a career in agriculture. How can 1% to kids as an option?
Career in agriculture is not just traditional farming. There's also opportunities in science. There's also opportunities in technology because a lot of the farm now are using new technologies. There's also engineering out there and management. So yeah, there's so many ways we can encourage our children to be involved, especially in agriculture. Ace?
Thank you so much, Myla Simbulan, Swarthmore, Pennsylvania.
Thanks, Ace.
When we come back, live reports from New Jersey and Ohio. Eagle News America. We'll be right back.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News America. In New Jersey, as anticipated, and like in other states, COVID-19 vaccination rates are slowing down. In Sicklerville, EBC's May-Ann Manzano-Gorzon tells us what the governor is saying and doing about it. May-Ann.
Thank you, Ace. So during his latest coronavirus briefing, Governor Phil Murphy says COVID-19 vaccination rates for some large towns in the state are lagging. The governor also says that so far, more than 4.26 million people have been fully vaccinated and more than 5 million people have received at least their first dose. Take a look.
The list of cities with populations greater than 10,000 residents but with vaccination rates at 50% or lower is now down to just 10. They are in ascending order of vaccination rates. You can see them there. Phillipsburg, Pemberton, Lakewood, Irvington, New Brunswick, East Orange, Camden, Glassboro, and Wallington all under 50%, and Bridgeton coming in at exactly 50%. And by the way, I believe each one of these communities, progress, if you looked at a week or two ago, progress has been meaningful. And we take our hat off to each and every one of them. I think I'm in Irvington later this week with Brian Bridges, our great Secretary of Higher Education. And so we've not only got folks banging on the doors, but we're trying to do as many events to catch people's attention as possible. And there's no naming or shaming here. We are working with these communities in partnership. We continue to work, as I say, with local officials in these communities, among many others across the state, to get them the resources they need to move these vaccination rates up to where they should be and where we know they can be. And for young people especially, now is the time to get vaccinated to protect yourself and your friends. We know there's a direct correlation between our steadily increasing vaccination numbers and our steadily decreasing case counts and hospitalizations.
For New Jersey's latest COVID-19 numbers, the Department of Health has reported another 197 new positive cases today, bringing our statewide total to 889,408. Sadly, we are also reporting 14 new confirmed deaths, pushing the total to 23,631 fatalities. And on the brighter side, the latest total of fully vaccinated individuals in New Jersey is now 4,430,716. To know the latest on New Jersey's vaccination progress, visit covid19.nj.gov/vaccine. And for a quick weather update, it's currently clear here in New Jersey. It is 75 degrees Fahrenheit or 24 degrees Celsius. In Sicklerville, New Jersey, May-Ann Manzano-Gorzon, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, May-Ann. You mentioned the number of those who have at least received the first dose. What is the percentage of this over New Jersey's population?
That's right, Ace. So more than 5 million people have received at least their first dose, and also as mentioned by the governor on the coronavirus briefing earlier today, as they report the latest numbers on a daily basis. And this is about 55% of the state's 9.2 million residents. So we're getting close to the target of 90, at least 70% adults to be vaccinated, Ace.
Very good. And any updates on the state's 7-day average for new positive cases?
Ace, the state's 7-day average for new confirmed positive COVID-19 test is now 228. This is down 11% from a week ago and 80% from a month ago, Ace. And just like what the state officials said, this number shows the correlation between the increasing number of vaccinated individuals and the decreasing number of reported new cases. So Governor Murphy said that we are now consistently reporting our lowest numbers of confirmed cases since last July, last year, when we were in the deepest part of summer lows during the time. Ace.
That's great news. How about the state's hospitalizations?
Well, the state's hospitalization is suspected to also become lower as the days pass by. We are reporting our record low for hospitalizations, Ace, and it's also giving us the proof that it has a correlation between the number of people that are getting vaccinated, Ace.
We're getting there. We're getting there. Just a little bit more. Thank you so much. May Ann Manzano-Guerzon, Sicklerville, New Jersey.
Thank you, Ace.
Several stories from Ohio tonight. Let's find out who the state's Vax-A-Million winners are, plus a lawsuit filed by the Attorney General against Google. Eagle News correspondent Randy Bayuga is with us this evening with the details.
Thank you, Ace. It's been a fun night, and tonight the third set of the Vax-A-Million winners were announced. Mark Klein of Richmond, Union County, won the $1 million prize. And Sarah Afene of Sheffield Lake, Lorain County, won the 4-year scholarship. The Vax-A-Million program promotes COVID-19 vaccinations here in Ohio, and there will be 2 more drawings in the coming weeks. Ohio achieved Governor Mike DeWine's goal of 50 COVID incidents per 100,000 in population. This was a goal he announced back in March 4. He then declared this week that the vaccinations are indeed working. He continues to advise Ohioans to get vaccinated, and they should register for the Vax-A-Million program. He also asked that for all Ohioans to be cautious, as many more Ohioans remain unvaccinated. So as we continue with the vaccinations here in Ohio, right now there are 46.28% of Ohio's populations that have been vaccinated. That is 5,410,275 Ohioans who have received at least 1 shot of the vaccine. And there are now a total of 1,105,720 confirmed cases of COVID-19 here in Ohio, and in the last 24 hours, 391 were added. And 59,728 hospitalizations due to COVID-19, and sadly, 20,021 Ohioans have died of COVID-19. In the last 24 hours, 0 were added. In other news, Ohio Attorney General Dave Youse files a lawsuit to request courts to declare Google as a public utility. Attorney General Youse states that the suit does not seek judgment for monetary damages or attempt to regulate or break up Google. However, if he wins his suit, Google will be subject to rules and regulations as a public utility. The other point to his suit, it says Google has a duty to offer resources or competitors' rights equal to its own, meaning it should not prioritize the placement of its own products, services, and websites on search result pages. Those equal rights should extend to advertisements, enhancements, knowledge boxes, integrated specialized searches, direct answers, and other features. According to him, Ohioans are harmed by Google because Google does not provide all of the information from its search results because it prioritizes placements of its own products, services, and websites on the result pages. In his example, Google Flights does not return results from its competitors, Orbitz, and Travelocity. This will be an interesting story to follow as many more states are looking to regulate big tech companies. Perrysburg, Ohio, Ronnie Bayuga, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you so much, Rani. That's interesting. Is this lawsuit to have Google declared as public utility frivolous?
You know, to me, it might be because you're looking at a utility company. Let's say one of the utility companies that broke up in our lifetime, at least mine, is Bell. Do you remember Bell? They were the phone company, the only phone company really back in the day. And then it was broken up to SBC Global and all these other companies. But in that case, we were subscribing to the use of the phone. And we're using Bell as the only company there to provide that service. So Google is not the only search engine. Although it basically has 80% of the market for search engines, and the others are there. They're not forcing you to use it. So it's your option to use them. So that, to me, is kind of a point that they should look into a little bit more.
Okay. Well, you mentioned Google Flights. Is the reason Attorney General Yao's citing Google Flights accurate?
And to me, again, is my opinion, right? I don't think he understands what Google Flight is. Google Flight is the travel business of Google. So it will only produce Google Flight and its partners as a result in that engine. So it's like going to Apple. You go to Apple, you're going to buy Apple products. You're not going to find Apple's competitors in their stores for you to buy because it's an Apple store. So it's the same thing. It's a Google store. You're going to Google Flights for travel from Google Flight and its partners. So to me, that was a bad, that's actually a good example that the lawmakers don't really understand what they're looking at when it comes to Google.
Okay, so I guess some people are wondering, what does the Attorney General, Youst, have against Google? What other lawsuits does he have against Google?
There are actually, there's a lot of movement right now to target big tech companies. Okay, so one of the things that's also on the docket for Attorney General Yaus is there are 38 states now involved in a lawsuit against Google, and that lawsuit is accusing Google of being a monopoly. So that's going to be also another interesting thing because really, as I mentioned earlier, it's a search engine that they're looking at, and the search engine produces. It's free for use. Anybody can use it. If they wanted to break up Google, so you're going to break them up to, let's see, they have YouTube. They own YouTube. They own Google, Google Flight. There's a lot of them. Google Maps. You can break that up, but the resources is actually based on your profile, based on your searches. Those things will actually be broken out, but not really. But your end result is you're not going to get the same kind of really good search results if you do break up Google. So it'll be an interesting fight. It'll be an interesting battle. And I'm sure there's going to be a need to redefine certain things for the tech companies.
Interesting points raised tonight, Rani. Thank you so much, Rani Bayuga, Perrysburg, Ohio.
Thank you, Ace.
EBC tonight's roundtable about egg rolls when Eagle News America returns.
is quite as simple as it seems. To understand the world better, we need to take a closer look. Experience knowledge. Tomorrow today.
Kung alam mo lang sana, kung pwede lang sana, kung okay lang sana, sabing iniibig na kita. Sana ikaw na nga, sana pwede tayong dalawa.
Hi guys! Ako nga po pala si Louie at abangan niyo po ako bilang guest performer sa Letters and Music ngayong June 12, Sabado 1 to 2 p.m. dito lang sa Net 25. See you guys!
Welcome back. This is Eagle News America. June 10 is National Egg Roll Day. But before we talk about this tasty appetizer, snack, or sometimes even a meal in itself, let's first join EBC friend Elmarie Gonzalez in her kitchen in South Haven, Mississippi, as she shows us how to prepare the Filipino lumpiang Shanghai.
Hello, I'm Elmarie and welcome to my kitchen. Today I will show you my version of the popular Filipino egg roll, lumpiang Shanghai, made with pork and vegetables. Let's begin. I hope you enjoy this recipe of lumpiang Shanghai in South Haven, Mississippi. I am Elmarie Gonzalez. We live in interesting times.
In celebration of National Egg Roll Day, let's indulge ourselves. We'll ask our team members in a bit what ingredients they want in their egg roll or lumpiang Shanghai, and what kind of sauce. Is it suka or vinegar, or is it spicy or sweet and sour? We'll talk about that in a bit. But first of all, here are some of egg rolls that we know, the kinds of egg rolls that we know. Classic Chinese egg roll, which uses cabbage as filling. The Filipino lumpia, which uses sprouts as filling, bean sprouts. Vietnamese egg roll uses cellophane noodles as filling. According to tasteatlas.com, an egg roll is a Chinese-style snack made of diced meat and chopped vegetables. They are wrapped in an egg-based dough and then deep fried. It is believed that egg rolls originated in southern China, as the tradition stems from Cantonese cuisine. Egg rolls are mostly enjoyed as appetizers or as a snack. They are usually served hot, preferably with a spicy dipping sauce on the side. And just like what we were talking about off the air, it's usually the first one to go in occasions or gatherings here in the U.S. Okay, so let's start. Myla, what ingredients do you want in your egg roll, and what kind of sauce? I can see the vinegar type.
The vinegar type. I wonder why. So just before I answer that question, Ace, there's a difference between egg roll, spring roll, and summer roll. Egg roll is the one that the wrapper has eggs on it. Spring roll is the one that you use in lumpia. That's the one that's really thin. That's why it's really crispy. And summer roll, you don't fry that usually, but it's made of rice paper as well.
Fresh.
So, yes, yeah, they're usually fresh. So for your question, my favorite on all these three is actually summer roll. I love the whole shrimp on it, and using not vinegar for summer roll, but a peanut-based sauce for summer roll. But if you ask me about the real egg roll, I like it with vermicelli, the one that you're talking, the Vietnamese kind. It's good, and they have a special sauce as well. It's made of fish sauce. It's combined with water and other ingredients. I forgot what it is, but it's a fish sauce for the Vietnamese egg roll.
The Vietnamese fish sauce. It's like a sweet and salty combination.
Yes.
Talking about it, made my stomach crumble a little bit.
I'm hungry now.
Let's hear from Rani. Rani, what's your egg roll? What's your kind of egg roll, man? And what kind
My
of
favorite is lumpia sariwa. Remember, do you know that one? The one you wrap yourself before you eat, and then there's this nice garlicky based sauce. That is my favorite egg roll, and yeah, but for the lumpia Shanghai, it's got to have a lot of garlic, and the sauce would be something spicy.
You're a garlic man, huh?
Yes.
Thank you, Randy. Thomas, I heard you mentioned earlier, you said you cook egg rolls too. So tell us.
Mine would be more of a Cantonese style, a Chinese style, cabbage in them. I like to have some chicken that you cook up in you slice it really thin and cook it up in some soy sauce and minced up garlic and stuff like that. Rani is right. There isn't enough garlic in this world. Satisfy me in food. Just about everything I cook has to have garlic in them. But a must-have is the sweet chili sauce. That is my number one sauce to go with an egg roll. Sweet chili sauce. Second choice would be a peanut-based sauce. Ace?
Nothing spicy, huh?
Well, the sweet chili sauce is actually kind of spicy.
A little bit, yeah.
The heat is offset by the sweetness.
Right. How about you, May-Ann? Let's go to May-Ann. Okay, tell us, who is your first crush? I mean, okay, What's your kind of eggroll? And your
Well,
dipping
Ace, first of all, thank God for Cantonese cuisine, because as you said, egg rolls are the favorite of the life of the party. It's the first to go in every Filipino, well, not every gathering, at least Filipino gathering. So my favorite would be, well, although you mentioned that Filipino egg rolls usually have bean sprouts. I do like Filipino egg rolls, but not the bean sprouts. So I like how Elmarie made hers. So my kind of Filipino egg rolls that I like is the pork with vegetables, the carrots that she showed earlier, onions and stuff. But I like it meaty, so I don't like the bean sprouts version. I like the pork version of Filipino egg rolls. Ace. And just like Thomas, my favorite dipping sauce to go with my egg rolls is the sweet chili sauce. How about you, Ace?
It's interesting. It's in contrast to yours, because I like the one with bean sprouts. It's because I remember back in high school at New Era, there was this vendor who would sell the bean sprouts right at Tagumpay. I believe it was at Tagumpay in a compound.
Ace, 2 years ago, he's still there.
Is that right? Oh,
yeah.
On time.
I know exactly what you're referring to.
Yeah, I can't forget that. Dip it in that super spicy suka, and really that would be a meal in itself. Well, thank you so much for sharing, guys. And before we end our show, let me shout out to a friend of mine celebrating his birthday on Friday, Jojo Micalier from Canada. We go way back in Antipolo. We're very good friends, like brothers, like this.
Happy birthday.
Remember to thank frontline first responders and essential workers with a round of applause. That is today's Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez. Thank you for joining us. We live in interesting times.